See when we go. And we're live. There we go. See who jumps on board. Do we got a little counter? Is there a counter that tells us where we are?
There we go. We got 5 that showed up.
All right. We have like 12 minutes to go, and I started chatting with Holly, and I kept talking, and all of a sudden you're 37 seconds away from jumping on. So who's all on board here? We don't need sound. We are going to need sound. So we're going to have some guests tonight, folks. If you're tuning in for the first time, we're having some guests, and I'm hoping that everything's going to. Before we run. There you go. People are watching. Maybe people are watching ads right now.
Yeah.
There you go. Heather's here.
There it is.
Let me get a couple things going. Welcome, Heather. Annie's Kitchen and Urban Homestead. Welcome. Welcome, Annette. The Wind and Wheat Life. Yes, good. I could not find. You guys got to send me an email. I couldn't find your email on your site. So shoot it over to me. I'm glad you came. Is this not coming?
Yeah, I just have to put in the code.
There we go. Is it not connected?
Should be.
Is it the same one?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to get organized here. We got too many things tonight. This is not working.
Okay.
I should take that. I've got too many things going here, and that's not working. Whoops.
Yeah, it is.
Oh. Why is that not?
Here, all you gotta do is.
I'm sorry, folks.
2-finger scroll. Drag 2 fingers.
My IT director here. So you put it there and then
do 2 fingers together.
Can I do it on this?
You
okay,
can.
I can do it on that.
Yeah, but if you do 2 fingers and scroll.
I'm so bad. I don't know. All right, let's see who's in here. Lori, how are you doing? Prepping for heaven. Let's see if this mouse works. There we go. This is going to be a pain. Why is that not working? It's because your little nubby thing isn't in there. The thing that's...
It's on the end.
Is it not turned on? Folks, we've got guests coming in here tonight. Okay.
There you go.
And I'm trying to... there we go. Jeez, I'm sorry. I'm trying to...
He was too busy talking to get
I've got a few things going here tonight. And Lacey, you know what? I might have looked at your site and the... maybe I'd looked at too many email addresses or something, but we were going to talk about the $50 February here. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody that had said they were interested knew about it. And Matt and Robin are in the house. Gunsmoke Farmstead, welcome. Lori, how are you doing? Krubby the Beagle's here. We've got, oh my gosh, who else did I miss? Growing a Homestead. I don't remember your name. I'm so sorry. Put your name down below. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I hate when I remember names and then I forget one. I'm so sorry. Growing a Homestead. I make a note so I can try to remember. But we've got Lisa from Yogi Hollow Farm coming on board at the top of the hour, and then Heather from Sage and Stone Homestead. So, and everybody's got to hit Heather with some really hard questions. I think this is her first live, so we're gonna don't get worked up, Heather. I think we'll be good. Amar the Legend, welcome there. Let's see who else is on. We've got 11 on board. That's good. Got some other people coming. So I was going to talk a little bit about we switched around our view here. Since we got a couple of trees going, it looks a little more festive. And I wanted to know, or I want to show off one of our, Caitlin and Colin. Okay. I am so sorry. I am so bad with names. Once I get to know people, I'm really good, but we've got a lot of people that stop by, and for me to remember them all, and sometimes you get on the spot. But anyways, my ADHD, I'm flipping
Yeah.
all over the place. I want to show off one of the best Christmas gifts ever. And it was a Christmas gift from last year. If you're on our Facebook page, I showed it off a little bit, but it's from my son, my daughter-in-law, and my grandson. And this thing lights up. Now I don't have it plugged in, so we got with our lighting and the
Yeah.
computer and all that. But this thing lights up, and it is the best. It is the best, and so we keep it lit down here all
At
night.
yeah.
It's just
It's our night light right
it's
now.
our nightlight downstairs. It's gorgeous. It's huge.
Show them the other side with
Oh yes, she's got a brooch or whatever
the
you want.
little holly leaf on her scarf.
There you go. It's got some holly. We all got holly. So no, this is one of the best gifts. It is.
Yeah.
It is adorable. So there's our nightlight, and it's designed. It says to be outdoor. There's not a chance in heck with the
Not-
wind
not
that
with the wind. It
with
would be
the-
gone halfway across the farmer's field.
with the wind that we've got. There is no way that no way.
Yeah.
So that would be 5 miles from here, barring the extension cord would be torn out and it would be down. It'd be downrange. We got
Yeah.
about 6 inches of snow this week, and the next day, then the wind kicked in and the drifting
Mm-hmm.
just drifted right up against the barn. So I got my snow blower out and snow blowed off the patio. Then the chickens patio and cleaned out a path. And then the next day it had already blown
Back in.
back in to fill everything. So I blew it again. And then yesterday I shoveled it out, or this morning,
Yeah.
one of these days I shoveled it out again.
It was yesterday. Yeah.
So we got a nice path going but the snow on the sides of the path is, 1.5 feet deep.
Well, and then when you get where it was really drifted, it's
And the girls now are running all over. So that's good. Hey, Gwen, Broke Cowgirl Homestead, welcome.
Yep. We got Matt and Sarah listening in, and
They're on board. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I haven't been watching have I missed anybody else? I hope not. Trying to make sure I didn't see Matt and Sarah jump in here.
Yep,
Welcome,
they're up.
gang. Hopefully you guys are surviving. Yeah, there they are. Hopefully you guys are surviving with the snow over there. I bet you your kids are loving the all the snow with the little slope in your backyard. I bet you that is the best sledding hill for long runs. So that's what we need. We need grab some of your favorite chickens and go sledding with the chickens and film that. There's your. Or I'm going to bring my girls over. We're going to have a sledding party with your chickens.
yeah, this morning they decided that this afternoon that
Yep.
they were going to come over. There was some still empty grass, uncovered grass out under our
That's
tree.
when I shoveled. I
No,
got
I'm
it.
saying
Real.
under the tree.
Oh yeah.
And so they're trying to cross the driveway, the snowy driveway.
Those of you with chickens, sometimes when the chickens run, they don't just run. Sometimes they run and they look like velociraptors, and other times they do this flap
And
land. They
the
go in
leap
like
and fly.
20-foot chunks. Well, our girls did that, and a couple of them landed right on the driveway, which is just compacted snow basically now.
Yeah.
And they're sliding. They can't press off because they slip. So they're slipping, and I got to get the camera out there at the right time. It's
Yeah.
hilarious to watch. So, and I missed and another name. I'm not Happy Acres Homestead. Hello, welcome.
Mm.
And that's not. I don't have your names down. Let us know what your names are. If you don't mind sharing that in the comments. I'm, like I said earlier, I'm bad, but we're going to go through. Yep. I don't know. Do we have some moderators on here
Yep.
that people can share some links?
Yep.
We've already,
One is- Yep.
Gwen is. Thank you, Gwen. I appreciate that. Let's see. Is Barb in here? Did Barb make it in yet? I don't know. I guess not. Not yet. There you go. And Gunsmoke is on. Just making sure. There you go. Hi. Hello and good morning or good night or good afternoon. there we go. Thanks for I don't think we've got anybody. Well, we do. Krubby, I believe, is
Yeah.
from Australia. So doing that. Thank you for playing catch up for links. Yes, I
Thank you.
appreciate that. I'm just playing catch up. Period. Trying to stay up on the chat. And I know, like I said, Lisa and Heather are joining us. And I've never brought guests in on a live. So tonight's going to be a whole new learning experience. Lisa's like, it's a piece of cake, Rich. You do this and this. And so far, I think I've done the right thing, but we're going to try to have some more guests on. So it's not just mostly me flapping my gums. Christine, welcome. Glad to have you on board. Thank you. Let me, there you go. Oh, and I didn't realize, Annie, Annette, I didn't realize you were from over in Australia, 9:38 in the morning. Okay. Yeah, with our change here, my son's in Korea right now. He's in the Army and
When does he get home?
couple weeks.
I thought it was sooner than that.
Couple weeks. Couple weeks. We're
A couple weeks he's back up here.
we're coming up, and just some home some keeping up on things here. Hi Dawn, welcome. 2 weeks from now we're supposed to have a live, and as of right now we've got a live at the same time, same time, same bat channel, but there's a chance that we're going to be having my grandson's birthday party at that time. Possibly. I don't know. Nothing's set in stone because my son's not even back from Korea yet. So if that happens, we love you all, but my grandson, who I do not see near enough because they're down in a whole nother state in Oklahoma, he takes precedence over you all. I'm sorry. sorry to say that, but he does. So there's a chance of that. And then 2 weeks after that is New Year's Eve or New Year's Day.
Yeah.
We're going to play that by ear. We're going to see what's going on. So let's just, here you go.
Yep.
These are 2 Christmas trees. It's funny. That's a doorway into my office. We've got one in there. And when my dad passed away, we grabbed one of his trees. This is one that I just loved. So we've got that with all sorts of birds on it, and it's a nice thing. So it's two different Christmas trees. Yep. Kim, welcome.
That's awesome to hear.
Finally laying. There you go. We'll get you on, and we should have everybody do the chicken dance. I want to see everybody do that. Yeah. Let me see what I'm missing here. See where I'm. Kim, that's awesome that they're laying again. Hi, Barb. Hopefully your voice is coming back. Barb was scheduled to be on as live tonight, and the cold got a hold of her, and she has no voice. So that's where Heather, we appreciate you stepping up and jumping in on very short notice, and it'll be great. Barb will have you on another time, but thank you for filling me in on that. Let's see. Yeah, what a great family celebration. You know what? If I get some time to see my grandson. Yep. So, and we'll be maybe at a bowling alley or something. He loves bowling for his birthday party, so we'll see. Someone's a good bowler, so we'll.
It's been a while.
Let me see here.
Yeah.
Oh, Perth. Yeah, you're way over on the western part. Okay. So, you said it was 9 a.m. there. Jeez. Okay, that's good. It's better than like I invited some people who are taking part in the $50 celebration or the challenge, and they're over in England, and that makes it really tough because it's about 2 or 3 a.m. right now. So, and Matt, welcome. Let's see. Which short? What? I'll have to look back.
Sure which short.
I'm not sure which short. Sorry. Let's see. And welcome, Shelly and Scott, or Shelly and or Scott, or one of you, two of you. Welcome. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us. You know what? Before we bring up our guests, I don't want to take up their time with some of the rules. And I reached out to Annette, and Annette couldn't be here. She had some family things that were going on, and Annette, Annette's from the Cow Emporium. Sorry, I've got my phone out here so I can read her email. She couldn't be here. She had some family things going on. So, I want to talk about the rules. People are asking about the rules. Now, Annette is very strict on this, which I think is good. And I'm leaning more towards the strict side. But let me explain everything, and then let me back away from some of it. I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but here, you can watch the comments while I read this.
Okay.
But I was saying, Annette, I wanted to kind of talk about the rules so everybody knew what was going on. And here was Annette's response. So everybody that's in the challenge, and the idea for those who aren't, and I've got a video on this, but it's the hashtag $50 February 2023. And the idea is for a couple to spend only $50 on your
Groceries
food,
for the month.
your groceries, your food for the whole month. Now, this does not include cleaning supplies and stuff like that.
No, this is strictly food.
Strictly food, beverage, that kind of thing. So if you've got children, for each child, you also get an additional $25 for the month. The idea is kind of a self-sufficiency thing. And I'm not a big prepper, stuff hitting the fan. I'm not about that, but part of me is that I want to be out here and be self-sufficient and kind of be in charge of my own thing, especially when the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden the food at the stores was a little bit scarce things. You know what, to be able to go outside and pick it or get it from a chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure made it nice. So the idea is to kind of test yourself, a 1-month test, middle of winter, far away from most of us in the Northern Hemisphere when we're growing. Barb said, I'm taking this seriously. You know what? I am too. I want to really see if $50 is not a lot for groceries for the month.
No, especially now.
So here's from Annette, and this is where Annette last year did it, $15 per week. And so I approached her and said, well, what if we did $50 for the month instead of 15? I don't know, just give a round number. So she said, here's how the challenge has gone for the past for Glenn and I. We only ate what we grew, raised, harvested, and foraged for an entire month, right down to the flour from our own wheat and butter that we made. The only exceptions were salt, pepper, baking powder, soda, and coffee, tea. Having $50 to spend for the month would allow people to buy flour, sugar, dairy products, alcohol, whatever else they need or want to consume. Cleaning and personal supplies are not included. It's meant to be quite challenging and get people to think outside the box because your usual pantry items are not included unless you grew them yourself. So the rice, pasta, beans, canned meat, canned fish, etc. Harvesting can continue right up to the end of January if people are hunters or catch fish. Perhaps they have animals to butcher still. These are my thoughts. And she does end, I'd like people to have fun with this. We do. And that's my, kind of where I am. I don't want to be so strict that I scare all of you, but I want to challenge you. That was part of it, was like, I wonder what we can do. And that's where I really put my nose to the grindstone here with the garden this year to really produce stuff. And it showed in my head where we're going to fall through a little bit. And it also showed us how to partner with people. Bland's Promised Land Ranch down in Texas, as I'm thinking through my process, they had a live and we're talking about partnering with people to kind of help your homestead. And our neighbors 12 miles away, Matt and Sarah, they're listening right now. Great people. If you have not gone over to Matt and Sarah's channel, check them out, please. You can go check out our video on this and check out all the channels that are involved in this challenge. I'd love you to subscribe to all those channels and check them out. some great people. I think there's 30 channels, but we reached out to Matt and Sarah because they have raised meat chickens before,
Mhm.
and we never have. I don't have a clue. I know chickens, but meat chicken seems different, and the tractors and the this and that and the feeding and then the butchering. I know nothing. So we reached out and said, hey, could we partner with you? Could you buy some extra chickens? We'll pay you. We'll help, do some stuff, during processing. And they're like, oh yeah, for sure. Come on over. So we got 20 chickens with Matt and Sarah. And we partnered with them. We also traded produce and eggs for, what was it, 1/8 of a cow.
Yep.
And then we sell our eggs. So the profit from our eggs, we took some of that money and bought
I have a pig.
half a pig. So we've done some of that stuff. Dawn, just look for Matt and Sarah, just like that. You'll find them right away. Abdullah, welcome. Whoops. Yeah, there you go, Matt and Sarah. Check out Matt and Sarah, please. Abdullah, good evening. Already feeling excited for the holiday season. We are too. We are too, especially with the, you know what? It was fun being over there.
Yep.
It
was a good time.
We went and butchered, and their kids were helping. We were trying to figure everything out. We were trying to.
Yep, it was a good experience with learning the whole process.
I got really good. I was the knife guy, cutting the breasts and the legs and the wings.
Cutting up the chickens.
Yeah, cutting up a certain percentage of the chickens for piece parts. I got pretty good at that. So it was good. But Matt and Sarah were great at teaching us. So it was a great thing. I'm getting long-winded on this, but great way to partner for the part of this challenge. So maybe you've got some people who are in your area that you could partner with. Maybe they've got a certain animal that you don't. They've got space that you don't, that kind of thing. We've got a lot of chickens, and that's all we've got right now. So
and a big garden.
But as far as animals, so the idea, I'm really long-winded. The challenge for me, it is very much, I want to eat everything out of the garden. I want to have chicken that with Matt and Sarah, eggs from our girls, the pork, the beef that we've done. Holly caught some fish. There's a couple of rabbits that got in my crosshairs. We have been trying to stock the freezer, and I want that. Now, our challenge is going to be like milk and orange juice and some of the things that I like. And so we're trying to figure out how to do that. We've got a well that works. I could have well water and eggs, and we're done. We're fine. What a boring life that would be. So the idea is not to kill yourself on this. It is to, challenge yourself. If something happened, could you feed yourself for a month, on $50? So one other thing I'd like to, whether you want it, I would like to at least twice during the month, mid-month, maybe you start and middle and an end, talk about the challenge and midway through, how are you doing? Or you could do it weekly. Just kind of put the hashtag down so we can find your videos. I want to know how everybody's doing and then what their holdups are, where, what's working, what's not working, and fill us in. And at the end of the month, be brutally honest. That's the fun thing with this, because maybe it'll spur another challenge the next time. But talk about what's working and what's not, and be brutally honest. And I'm going to be, because I think, okay, I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm feeling like we're in pretty good shape. And that scares me, because it's like, okay, what am I not thinking of? And something's going to fall through. I'm going to be out melting snow. Yep, I see Heather and Levi down there. Just give me 1 second. I don't see Lisa yet, but she'll be coming in here in a second. Let me see. You have your goats. You know what? And I have dissed on goats quite a bit, because I just don't have a use for them. I am not going to get out and milk those darn goats. But during February, boy, that would come in handy, wouldn't it? And I don't know. We'll so
maybe because they're smaller.
You know what, Abdullah, if you watch some of the videos, people milking their goats, and Heather's a great one at explaining this. You know what? Let me bring up Heather. You guys ready? Give us. Oh, you're good. Okay. My first chance. Add the stream. There they are.
There.
How are you
Can you
doing?
hear us?
Yep.
We're good.
Okay, good.
Look at this, guys. We've got guests. Heather, and I was just going to say, you do such a good job of showing milking your goats and the process. And you've got explain this because you've got ropes and.
Some of them need that. Some of them
Oh.
that lay down on the stand, I need to hook up their hips so that they don't lay down in my milk pail. But they're used to the routine and I'm used to the routine. And really, when you get out there in the winter, it's pretty easy because their udder is very, very warm. So it's like having hot hands in your hands while you're doing it. And it's not the worst winter task.
Okay. So, and they don't squirm and say, hey, you got cold hands here?
They do. They kick sometimes.
Okay.
but everybody warms up and it works out.
I can think someone coming in with cold hands and I'm like, get away from me.
I'm sure it's not pleasant. Some of them kick regardless.
Okay. You know what? Before Lisa gets in here, why don't you two take a chance to explain? Let me take Abdullah's comment down. There you go. Explain your channel, where you're located, a little bit about you guys, and just we can do the intro, and then we'll kind of get into the $50 February.
Awesome. Well, my name's Heather.
I'm Levi.
And we've been living on this little homestead since the middle of June 2019. And we have been growing a lot of our own food, as much as we can, ever since. So this challenge is really awesome for us because I feel like where I struggle is I'm a pantry hoarder. I'll put everything up, I'll put it away, I'll pack the freezer, and then I don't touch it. So I need a really good excuse to use my pantry because we have enough of it and we just keep growing and we keep processing animals. And so we need to be able to rotate through what we've already got.
And let me, Lisa, are you ready to come on up? I see Lisa all right. And there's Lisa from Yogi Hollow Farm. Welcome, Lisa. I don't hear you.
Hello, hello.
There you
There
are.
she goes.
How's everybody doing?
We're doing good. So, Heather, explain what animals you've got too, because you talk about putting it away, and I've seen so many videos of different animals, and Levi's out hunting, and I mean, run us through everything that you've got that you're throwing into the pantry or the freezer.
Well, it's been a while since we did quail, but we have quite a lot of quail packaged up in the freezer that I need to go through. I'm going to be getting another batch of quail soon to help, cycle out some of my old egg layers. And with that, I get a straight run. And so there's always extra roosters to process. So we have those. We have chicken that we've processed in the past, but I still have some chicken from 2020. I need to go through. We raise rabbits for meat right now, as well as some meat goats. And of course, Levi hunts, and we've done guineas before. What else is there? Is that pretty much it?
Well, Levi, you've got
That's about it.
at least you've got one deer already this year, right? Is there more than one that maybe hasn't made it out onto the channel?
2. It was the first day and the second to last day I got one.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't get the first one on camera.
Okay.
I got the second one.
Well, we've got Holly's dad hunts up north, and we've got parts of a deer sausage or something
Yeah.
coming.
Yep.
That's
They
awesome.
hunt, we get the leftovers. So that's
Great.
we just don't.
It's a good arrangement.
We're out in the middle of a bunch of cornfields. It's
Yeah.
funny. In 3 years, 3+ years of being here, we really haven't seen a deer
I think I've seen 2.
down the road.
One was up the road and one was down the road.
And the other day I thought, okay, we're fine. I was putting some stuff out and I didn't want to have an animal run into it. I look out my office window. There's 2 deer walking across the road. I was like, oh no, they're around. So
We have lots of them here. I probably didn't mention it, but we're in southwestern Kentucky, and deer are like rats. So during the season, you can hunt as many antlerless deer as you can get.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Everything here is under a lottery tag system.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and I know Ryan's put in for elk for 4 years now.
And
nothing.
Lisa, do you maybe give your talk about your channel as well? Well, Heather and Levi, let me say it right.
Yeah, finish.
Sage and Stone Homestead.
Right.
And everybody check their channel out and also check out Lisa's. But Lisa, for anybody not familiar with your channel, maybe give a little rundown for you and Ryan what you've got going.
Sure. Nice to meet you, Heather and Levi, by the way. 'cause
You as
Heather, we've
well. I know we've
talked.
talked in the emails before.
Nothing yet, huh, on the pigs?
No, not until next year. They're past their time.
It's all good. Next
Yeah.
year it'll happen.
Hmm.
So everybody jokes with me about my husband. He does exist. He's in the videos. He's just not a social media person. So lives
not
are not
either.
his gig. He's sitting in the living room watching a really good series with his headphones on. So
So we don't have to hear it.
yeah. Well, that's also so no copyright strikes.
True.
Thank you for that.
So my channel is Yogi Hollow Farm, and we are a 2-acre farm. We are all about efficient use of space, especially with limited land, and growing our own meat,
You're
and repurposing and thrifty homesteading, but also making it functional and look good. For the most part, we try to construct things so that way they last and are functional, not that we have to do them every year. I mean, every once in a while, I will admit, like we did our middle grow out pen. We didn't put a lot of effort into it because it's going to be empty here soon. And I heard Heather say that, you know, you do a straight run and you have all these roosters or cockerels.
Mhm.
And we currently have 4 roosters living in that pen right now. And I'm just not up to processing them, but they need to go. It's just they need to have some meat on them before I do it. So,
and that's
but we have 4 Kune pigs, 2 are boars, 2 are sows, and we breed them. And so that's how I get my joy of pets, but purpose, by having the breeder pigs. So we sold our first 2 litters of piglets this year. We kept Norman, who is, I say, the most loved meat pig, and stay tuned because it's going to, we've got some fun stuff coming up. I still have some of Yogi's Christmas sweaters. That's the hint. So we have Norman we're raising for meat. We've previously raised a couple of Mangalitsa, Duroc, and Berkshire pigs. That was part of our succession plan, if you will, because they were larger pigs, and we knew that by the time the Kunis grew up and were able to breed, and we were able to wait a year for a Kune to be large enough, we've got plenty of pork. We also raise meat chickens. We have raised ducks in the past. We're just not fond of them. We may go back to them, but if we do, it'll just be a summer thing. And we do bourbon red turkeys. And this year we did pheasants, which are must do. I will say that.
even with the
Yep.
or this
The
thing.
peepers.
The peepers, I'm telling you, they are a must raise aside from the brooder, where at a week old, they are jumping out of the brooder and you have to be really careful. Not like chicks at all. I mean, they were flying around my garage. And I had to get Ryan to come wrangle them in with me. Aside from that, they were low maintenance, easy on feed, and no issues whatsoever, and lighter on the pen. And I see Christine is asking where I'm located. We're located in the Southern Black Hills of South Dakota.
Perfect. Hi to Cindy Squirrel Off Grid. Let's see, I said hi. And then Darren and Brigitte, Thor Haven Farm, they're in here. So welcome. Yeah, Lisa, I just laugh. There was one time, I think you had a picture on for one of your pheasant videos, and you had the blinder on, and just the angle, it reminded me of Elton John with these big glasses on. So I cannot think of your pheasants without thinking of Elton John. And they're kind of, moving around, he kind of prances around a lot, and he's a showman, and your pheasants, I don't know, it reminded me of that. So.
Well, I was tempted to take a little glitter, and put it around the edges.
They would
When we first put it on them, they flopped. And it was actually kind of funny, but then we realized it interfered with their ability to be able to open their beaks and stuff right away. So that I'm glad we realized that. But yeah, it was really funny.
It was It was interesting. So I went through the kind of my idea of the rules earlier. Just the $50. We're going to be kind of hardcore with it. I want to see what we really can do with this, but I don't want that to discourage others. You don't have to be hardcore with it. You know what? If it is not a total failure, if you do spend $51 or $58 or $75, you know what? The object is to learn from this. And what have you done in the garden or with your animals or with partnering with other homesteads? And maybe everybody can contact Heather and help her clean out her pantry, and we could feed the whole group. So
Yes.
I don't want to be so hardcore that it's a negative. 'Cause
Right.
I think there'll be something for next year, hopefully, to come out of this. And maybe that's a good question for both of you. Where you think you're really strong? Heather, you said your pantry, you're really strong, but also, what's your weak suit? Where do you think you're going to be falling down?
My entire fall garden died. So I don't have fresh vegetables. The entire thing is gone. My fan broke in my greenhouse and it got 85 in there for a couple days and all of the broccoli is bolting. So I had mice eat half of the greenhouse and the rest of it has bolted. So I don't have a lot of fresh stuff to pull from. The store that we shop at doesn't really carry a whole ton of fresh stuff. They have carrots, potatoes, onions, and that's pretty much it that's reliable. So where we break that, shortcoming is sprouting our own greens. So we can get this full jar of sprouts in a week and I can start a new batch as soon as this one is done. And then in another week, I've got another jar full of sprouts, which no, it doesn't give you a whole ton of calories, but there's a lot of vitamins in this little jar here.
Yeah. And you had a great video maybe a week and a half ago on
It
that?
was probably a month ago because stuff was
was it?
alive in the greenhouse when I did it.
Well, sorry.
It's
If you
okay.
want to go to Sage and Stone, you can see about sprouts. I'd never grown sprouts, so I watched it with some great. I'm learning. So
It's a great one. It's a great fallback for when entire greenhouses and entire gardens are just not happening, whether or not you started one and it doesn't come to fruition or you don't have the space for it. These don't even need sunlight to
Mhm.
get this size.
Super easy.
Mhm.
so that was your fall down. Do you think anything else is going to be your Achilles heel? Is there something else that you're lacking? I mean, you might not have fresh veggies, but you have put enough away in your pantry.
So we have the food. Sometimes with me personally, did Heather remember to take meat out of the freezer? Because all we really have is a whole bunch of ingredients. There's not a lot that we can kind of grab and go. And I guess that could be a weakness for me. So I have been making things like jerky, which is a good grab and go. And I have put together some beef stew. It's actually venison. So this kind of thing I can grab and serve without having to worry about thawing anything out. Because really, the day I lose time very, very easily, and the day gets past, and I often don't know what I'm making for dinner. But this kind of thing really helps out.
Yeah, we haven't made complete dinners downstairs. Although, did you do some soups, or was that just stock you made?
Just some stock right now, but I think we have done a couple of complete dinners.
We just need to. We've got stuffed peppers.
Yeah.
We've done some things where it's pull it out and thaw it, and it can either be microwaved or baked, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
But not big like your stew that you've got there. That was genius.
It's going to be essential for me to make it work. I know it.
And how many, if you might share, how many little ones, how many other mouths do you have there besides you two?
4.
Okay, so you've
4
got.
kids. 10 and under.
If you get into a big bind, you get $25 per kid. You
Oh,
can
yeah.
swap for pizza one
They'll
night.
be just fine. The quail and the milk alone, that's all they need is quail
There you
eggs and milk, and they'll be fine. Yeah.
They'll complain about it, but they'll
No, there's a lot of really good fats and a lot of really good proteins that I know we could pull together off of our farm. I think that we're going to do pretty well with it. I just don't know how sustainable we might be beyond the month, So it's going to be a good exercise. with like the limited time frame.
It will show, you know, you use your product for a month, and sorry to not cut into your time, Lisa.
You're fine.
But you cut into a month, you get a month of food gone, and then you realize, you know, if something really ever happened, you'd need 12 times that,
Mhm.
you know, plus
Mhm.
what you're growing. But it'll be interesting to see how thin our freezer is or our pantry
When
shelves
we're
after
done.
a month.
Yeah.
I agree.
And what we need to, how many more sets of shelves do I need to buy, and how big does the garden need to be?
Just
to
hide
really
stuff under the
support-
guest bed.
There you go. But just for an entire
Mhm.
year, if you really want to provide for yourself, I think back to stories my mom tells about my grandparents, and you know, they were trying to put everything away for 3 of them, for my grandma, grandpa, my mom, for a year. And I'm like, where did you put it? But they did it, and I'm like, how did you do it?
Mhm.
So interesting. So
Get
Lisa,
creative
you
with where you
are
store it.
Lisa's got, you know, with all your sources of protein, again, we've got our chickens. We're really deficient on that, but
Mhm.
you're strong on that.
Mhm.
We need to have your farm near ours. We got so much garden. You've got all the, we could do some.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we have enough turkey. I mean, because we're not fans of turkey. Like I like it, don't get me wrong, but it was a cheap way to grow an alternative protein source and vary it up a little. The pheasants are to die for. They are so delicious. The chickens are great. The only thing I would say is the Royal Grey broilers that we got this year, we are not as fond of them as we were the Cornish Cross and the Red Rangers. We happen to get them. We're just not as fond of them, but they're good. And you know, I mean, the pork is to die for too. So it's really good. I think for us, it's obviously it's the produce. The sheer volume is not something we have enough space to do. Not necessarily because our acreage is small, but because we have a lot of trees.
Yep.
And you know, we recently cut down more trees. We have plans to cut more down, but at the same time, we don't want to sacrifice privacy. So the issue that we're dealing with is cutting down the inner trees of the property to get more sunlight. But that being said, it's not only a sun issue. So it's not going to be a cure.
Well, your growing season, you know, we've got, I figure 4 months. It's basically June 1st to October 1st for us, and you're even shorter. What is your growing season?
I think they said 60. I see varied numbers on it. It's anywhere from 67 to 72 days or something like that. It's really short.
Yeah.
But you know, growing indoors is helpful.
Yep.
Growing in the greenhouse was extremely beneficial this year. However, even the Swiss chard and the spinach, when we had some really freezing weather, it all dropped before it could come to fruition. Also, the deer get really hungry. So the sugar snap peas that I was hoping to harvest in November, that were doing amazing, the deer came up and ate along with the raspberry bushes, which they do every year. Everything's got to be under lock and key. And sometimes that's just not possible, or you get tired of it, I guess is the way for me to say it. You know, because everything looks like Fort Knox around your house. But I think the biggest challenge for us is we are really thrifty to begin with for only 2 people in the household. And I remember saying on one of my lives, we spent like $335 for all our groceries except meat for 2 months. And so that really is only like we might pick something up at the local store. And that's because our local stores are so expensive. We don't want to. So I think the biggest thing for me is our pantry's full all the time. So I can go a month without buying groceries, and I don't even need to buy anything right before the challenge starts. But it's going to be knowing how much I paid for something coming out of my pantry. I'm not going to know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and you've got a lot of stuff that you've stocked away. And let me just say the object is not to go out January 31st and buy, 45 frozen pizzas and all that so you can pull it out. I mean, that's not the idea. That's one way to survive a month, but that's not the idea of the challenge. The challenge is really to grow everything and forage, hunt, grow, raise this and that, and to not do that. And it is kind of hard. Annette talked about, they've got wheat that they grow, so they're making their own flour. We don't have access to that, so we're going to have to be buying some flour. Holly's taken up making sourdough and breads now. What a great way to, it's cheaper to buy in bulk, and so we're trying to figure all that in there. Let me just, Blue, welcome aboard, Blue Self-Reliance. I saw a couple things in there. Lori's got so much pesto in the freezer, it looks like I'm going vegetarian. Let's see. Matt and Sarah have got 4 kids, and the oldest is 9. Made salt. Gwen made salsa today. She's still got tomatoes going. Our ground is so frozen. There's nothing growing out there. Yeah. Lacey, 7 kids, so it'll be interesting. And then Darren, we do meat for a year and veggies for 6 months. So that's great. The flour, milk, and alcohol that hurts. Yep, there's that's the thing that is going to be tough. Let me see who else jumped in here. And Barb's doing sourdough starter. Holly's doing breads and all that. So, and it's been wonderful. Something totally different. I've made beer, wine, other things. I love fermentation and all that can come with it. And this bread and getting that all bubbling, and it's added a whole layer to our homestead. So
I was going to say, that's the other thing that we take advantage of. So, we have a lot of people use Azure Standard. Azure Standard, it has a drop off in Rapid City. It's at like 10 in the morning. And when I was working, it was like I couldn't leave work at 10 o'clock in the morning to go get an Azure Standard order. But one of the things that we have here that is similar to that is Black Hills Bulk. And so they had a deal on 50 pounds of black beans, 50 pounds of rice. Yeah, I know you're all looking at me like, my word, who's going to eat all that?
No.
Nope.
Well, you know what? It's all been put in it was put in the freezer to kill anything that might have been in there. You never know.
Yep.
Taken out of the freezer, made sure it was dry, vac sealed, and packed into smaller packages for the 2 of us. So that's another challenge for us is, I've already had black beans and rice for the past year, and I probably will have some for the next 2 years, along with our freeze-dried stuff, and I know you guys are talking about canning, and, I don't have stuff to can from my own garden. So we end up freeze drying what we can. And so say that we buy celery for something and we only use 3 stalks of it. And we know it's just going to go limp in the fridge. I'll freeze dry it because celery is even better freeze dried or dehydrated. So that's some of the stuff that's kind of challenging, is to put a price on it.
And I've never aside from that, and I love that. Lisa, Bees and Seeds out in California, she has the freeze dryer as well. And looking at some of the practical uses of freeze drying eggs and other things, it's amazing. We don't have one yet, but off on another side, just our, Heather, you're down further south, so maybe there's a possibility of growing out in your greenhouse. But during February, are either of you going to be growing indoors, doing anything for fresh food inside?
So I can actually put, and I do put, my spring 8-week-old frost tolerant starts out in my raised bed garden in February.
Wow.
We'll get some decent freezes, but I will have started the plants inside the greenhouse, so they will have experienced some cooler temperatures and have basically been accustomed to being outside at that point. So we can easily grow things like leafy greens even outside of the greenhouse here. We're zone 7B.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're zone frozen tundra, so it's Lisa. Are you gonna do? I mean, you had the whole hydroponics set up, and are you gonna be doing some things indoors this year?
Yeah, I'm hoping to start some dwarf tomatoes. I'm trying to find some seeds that I want. I did find some dwarf varieties because that's really the way that I need to go. The other thing is that I can do lettuce. And the other thing that I've been wanting to do, the other thing that I'm going to do is start my tomato seeds in February. I started them in March last year.
Yeah.
And our peppers in March, they need to be started in February because this is the first year we actually got peppers.
I started them 2 years ago. I started them too early, and they
Mhm.
got really leggy, even bringing outside, and they just broke. We get such wind. So I started in March this year, and it timed perfect
Yep.
for me. You've got the greenhouse to put your stuff in to protect it a little more than what we've got.
Yeah, I won't be able to put it out in the greenhouse until June.
Okay.
Oof.
Wow.
But because even when I put it in the greenhouse, I have to cover everything because it gets too cold at night. And that you know how that goes. That is a real pain. So what I do is do you put a fan on your seedlings in the house?
You know what? I do.
Yeah.
Just I want to get them. Otherwise, they just grow up and they're these tiny little pencils, and they're ready to break. We get so much wind. So I'll sit down there with a fan. I'll put the fan on and let it oscillate on them for an hour a day, and then water them again because it does dry them out, just to toughen them up a little bit. Otherwise, they get outside and they just get
Yeah. And
beat up.
We've been known too, like early in the spring when we get those nice first warm sunny days, we'll bring them out onto the patio for a few hours so they can get some wind and sun, and then they come
And-
back in.
and it's a day when I can sit outside in a lawn chair because you got to guard them from the chickens, or they're going to eat everything you put out on the. It's, hey, salad bar. Dad brought out a salad bar for us
Yeah.
today. So, we'll try to get them accustomed to a breeze with a fan
Mhm.
downstairs. We also
I
had
was-
Steph
I
and
was
Chris
getting-
jumped in here from Hickory Croft Farm. They were talking a couple things. Just one, sourdough, getting that started, and for pancakes, I will test sourdough pancakes. Holly made them; they're awesome. And then they were doing in their basement already. We had a comment. Oh, they had all sorts of stuff going. Lettuce, sweet potato greens, and celery growing in the basement this year already. So good for you guys.
Mhm.
Lisa, you were gonna say, I cut you off. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I apologize. I was gonna say, like, I had this vision in my head of you being down the basement fanning the.
A big palm frond. Yes.
Like I can see you doing that.
You know, for the good of the garden, I'm willing
Yeah.
to. I'm willing to do a few things. It's a hard. Is there any other things you're going to add? Just thinking of February, and I'm already thinking, okay, we're short on this and this. What can we do for the next season? Are you guys thinking beyond February where you might be falling down, and what else to add?
For us, I'm planning the greenhouse a little bit better. Because this last season I filled it with 3 things and it wound up only 2 of them really took off, but I had tomatoes and peppers way more than I needed, like way more. So we aren't going to be planting as many tomatoes. We're not going to be planting as many peppers, but that means I've got that much more space to kind of finagle some of my other things around that I like to grow. So I think our raised bed garden is going to be more basically perennial things. It's going to start happening, potatoes, stuff like that, and the greenhouse is going to have more of the annual type stuff. And I'm planning that now because I do put those starts. I start my seeds in February too.
Wow. Yeah, I am guilty as charged. Tomatoes and peppers, they're kind of the easy ones to grow, but
Mhm.
our peppers exploded. I had 10 years worth of peppers. So
Yeah,
we're going to
I
gonna
saw your
pull-
harvest.
we're going to scale that back a little bit.
And that was even after we've been giving stuff away and selling stuff all summer for the peppers. That was the night before we were getting our first frost. That he
Yeah,
finally-
with the wheelbarrow.
It was
Oh my
it was
God.
we're going to scale that back, plus we're going to bring on a couple other families for our CSA. But what it's really taught us is, we don't need 3 or 4 rows of peppers. We could do 2 rows. They really produce well, or maybe scale from 4 to 3, and let's diversify and add more variety of vegetables, even some that are outside our comfort level, and let's use it as a learning curve. Maybe there's something else we're good at. We just haven't grown it yet. And we've already started getting all our friendly catalogs are starting to come in the mail. Everybody wants to, let's see, not for nothing. They have some parsnips and beets growing in a cold frame outside. They love their cold frame. And I don't know, I'm sorry, I don't know where you're located. I mean, a cold frame here, maybe in the spring. Let's see, Gwen's got carrots and lettuce, collards, cabbage, broccoli, jalapenos. Oh, they're still growing. All in the garden now. Onions started inside. Wow.
She's in Texas.
Yeah. It's a whole new world. I didn't say hi. Jace, welcome. Another from Australia here. The peppers. They got small peppers. Yeah, you're heading into your summer, so I'm learning. I'm living my life through you now, Jace. So thanks for sharing all your videos. Old Ways Gardening and Prepping. Teresa's here. Welcome. Steph and Chris brought up the dairy is a huge issue. I think that's going to be, we don't have a cow, obviously. We don't have goats. And I don't know anybody around here who has cows or goats.
Yeah.
For us to go up and say, hey, we've got all sorts of eggs and such. Can we trade? That's going to be our weak point, I think, is beverages. We can feed ourselves. It's the beverage side where we're going to be spending money.
There's a website for that.
There's what?
There's a website for that.
For finding
Raw milk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, because I
do
don't
you-
have
can
any
you share
dairy
that?
cows
I
near
don't-
me in the land of beef. The only thing that I can find is goat's milk.
Do you know offhand what the website is?
I don't, but I can send it to you so you
Okay.
could put it in the description.
Yeah, I'd love
Okay.
to, because I
Yes.
don't know about that. So I'd
Yeah,
love
it's
to
a
get
raw
some
milk
fresh-
exchange.
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called either, but we have our farm listed on there.
Okay. And so do you have beef cows, or you're selling goat's milk?
I just have goats, and
Okay.
we've only sold to family so far. And right now I'm only milking 4 Nigerians. And so we're getting a half gallon a day, which is enough for us to drink some, make cheese, and make some butter. So I don't sell it when I'm only bringing in a half gallon a day, because that's my minimum for our family.
Yeah, I'd love to find a source of that. I was gifted about 2 years ago with a great gift of a cheese making kit, and it's been on the shelf ever since. And
Yeah, we'll probably
That's-
have to replace some of the.
it's a sin that it hasn't been used. So
Aw.
but I need to get into that. I really do. I'd love to. But a source of fresh milk. I know you can take it from the store, but it's not the same.
It's not the same. You could get a little bit of powdered milk. That might be cheaper, just to kind of have for if the end of the month is starting to dry up a little bit and you're running out of cash. That could be a nice thing to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
switched from fresh orange juice to canned, and it's pretty good. I'm an orange juice guy, and that is so expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. We haven't purchased orange juice in a while because the store that we buy everything from, they've only ever had pulp free. And I'm the kind of person that I want to choke on the pulp in my orange juice. I need it to be like drinking a whole orange. And they haven't had it, so we haven't had orange juice
Yeah.
in
I-
probably 2 years. But we buy clementines every week. We buy clementines, and those are expensive still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
we
last
might
time
have
I
to forego
went,
that.
a gallon of orange juice was going for $8.
Yeah, I'm not ready to do that. Gwen said to ask at our feed store who has dairy. That's a really good idea.
Mhm.
I paid $10 for half and half locally because I'm not living without it. If I could have a dairy cow for cream, I'd have it. But I'm sorry, not giving up my half and half. That's our one guilty pleasure.
I'd love to have a cow and have just one, but we don't have the space. We really don't.
Yeah.
If I fence the yard in, I've got such a big lawn, and the lawn we don't do anything out on it other than I go out and mow it.
Mhm.
So we need to kind of work on that.
You
There's
do.
going to be two nice little lambs could come in the spring and they could roam around and mow my lawn for me. And at the end of the year, before it gets all snowy, they could become lamb chops. So
It's a very viable option.
future
Mhm.
Yep.
expansion. There's plenty of room to garden. That's one thing. Looking ahead, I asked you what we're trying to do is diversify,
Mhm.
and we cleared the area, but we didn't plant it like we wanted to last year. But our
Oh, yeah.
orchard, we want
And
to
some fruit trees go on.
add some fruit. We have none other than some wild raspberries and some things out back.
Yeah.
And the robins tend to beat us to those all the time. So that's what we're doing, is trying to diversify, add another layer to our production, so it's not tomatoes, peppers, the five main things that we all grow.
Zucchini.
Zucchini, yeah, you can only have so much zucchini.
I mean, for us, we're trying to we want to add a larger greenhouse because it's really the only way for us to grow something decent. And we want to be able to build one large enough. I don't know that we'll have it by next year, if not the year after, just because we're throwing a few ideas around for some other things. And,
Yeah.
Last year we were too busy putting too much stuff together and building when we said we weren't going to build anything. And we ended up building 2 pens. So for meat birds. So now that we've got that structure and the ability to put younger birds and have them grow up and all that into different pens, I think now it's a focus on the greenhouse. It just may take some time. We have the roofing for it already.
Yeah.
But then it'll be a way to figure out how to heat it and insulate it, so that way it's not using electrical or anything like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, how big to heat something like that? How big of a solar panel chunk do you need to produce the? I'm looking at some of the same things. I saw a beautiful greenhouse about the size I'd like. I mean, it looks like the ones that Levi and Heather have. The greenhouse, it was like $8,000, and I'm like, ugh.
That's it. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
You
Mhm.
gotta put down, and I want to do something once. If I've said it on our videos, I don't want to build something and then build it again next year and the year after.
Yep.
I mean, you've got a solid piece
Mhm.
there, Heather. That greenhouse just looks like gold, and I saw the same thing. So
Yeah, the plastic needs to be changed about every 4 years because even the good plastic breaks down in the sun, but that's not the hard part. So
and I mean, I had a lot of people throwing ideas at us,
Mhm.
and take some stuff and buy some used trampolines, and it's like, no, I want to get a greenhouse.
crocheted cloth.
Put it
I
out there.
thought of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I want to put it out, and
Well, and the other problem we have too is, especially in the spring, is the winds
yeah,
that
Yeah.
like carry things away. And
we bought a tiny greenhouse, and I staked it down 8 spots, had it all built, went inside, and literally within 6 hours came out, and it was just in tatters.
bent poles and flipped over the fence and just a mess.
So
Yeah.
that taught me, it's $250. I'm like, okay, that's $250 a learning experience, but I'm going big, and I'm going to do it right, and I'm going to anchor that, and I'm going to.
They make
Cement
windbreaking
anchors.
kits and all that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
that's the thing. You have to be able to anchor it down. That's the only reason why we did the greenhouse that we did, because we didn't even know if it was going to work.
Yep.
And that greenhouse new is anywhere from $800 to $1,000, which I think is highly overpriced.
Yep.
The $25 that I spent on it was absolutely worth it, because that's about what it's worth. But, it's just crazy because you have to look at those things, because all the plastic greenhouses here in South Dakota are all shredded. They're all shredded.
Yeah.
So everybody puts that corrugated fiberglass paneling on the sides because of the fact the wind will rip through it. But then you have to have the venting.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So you have to have all that as well. And I imagine in Kentucky, it's a lot different. For me, it just never gets that hot. And when it does, all I did was open my greenhouse door, and roof vent every day and then close it every day. But I can tell you it's a much different picture in the fall when you have to actually control humidity
Mhm.
and things like that. Whereas in the summer, I had to water twice a day, but everything did great. Once the fall came, the moisture came in, you know? So it's a learning curve.
What
Somehow the plants seem to like the humidity and the condensation here because our greenhouse did awesomely this summer and it was oppressively hot. And one of the advices that I got in order to keep the plants from completely dying in that heat was to water in the morning because it's something about the humidity that helps the plants get through the heat. Whereas people, that's not how we function. Humidity makes it so much worse. But with plants, it kind of helps protect them. And I don't know the science, but that's what people who know better than me said. I did it and it seemed to work.
See, and you had tomatoes in there, and I would think that tomatoes with humidity, that would be, you know, blight everywhere, and there'd be some
Yeah.
issues.
That's why I grew the Heatmaster hybrids because I knew it was going to be a problem and they did so great. And they were supposed to be determinate, but those suckers put flowers on from early April until October when I ripped them out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
had to,
they do love humidity because that's the problem we have here. We're very dry. So I always water the floor of the greenhouse to keep that humidity.
Yep.
But the problem is with a small greenhouse, I packed everything I could into it and everything's touching.
Yeah.
And the quinoa got sick and everything else started to get sick.
Margie had you know, I was joking that I saw 2 deer, the first ones I'd seen in the whole time we've been here. But Margie was asking if you've got on your gardens deer pressure. Now, even Lisa, you were talking about elk. I can't imagine elk walking through my yard. You know, we get some deer occasionally, but you know, Levi, you probably maybe get the gun out and you can harvest. But what do you guys do with, you know, large animals like that are coming through? Do your dogs handle it? Do you?
Yeah, the dogs.
The dogs keep the large animals away. They have not. This summer we had more skunk, possum, and armadillo in our yard than we've seen since we've been here.
And turtles, right? Didn't you have turtles in the video?
Yeah. But they never, I had a crawdad in the garden. I had a crawdad in the greenhouse.
Oh, wow.
But that's not really a predator. He didn't do anything, but it was like a critter that got past the dog. But the dogs handled the big stuff. We never have the deer real close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So
Everything
they're
has to
all
be
good.
fenced
Lisa,
here.
do they get in yours, Lisa?
Everything has to be fenced here and it has to be close to the house because in the summertime they do not come close to the house at all because there's plenty of food. Plus the fact that they will come because they live on my property. They give birth on my property every year. They tend to eat the spilled pig feed. So if there's pig feed or if I clean out the coop and there's, you know, feed that fell because I raked out the run, they're scouring through my compost pile and all that. But if it's near the house, they leave it alone. The only thing that they go after is my raspberries, and I usually just put a temporary fence around them. But that's why we can't fence down in the back part of the property, because even with an electric fence, I've watched them jump over electric fences and hang out with my pigs all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, deer can jump 8 feet. I used to live by a golf course, and the golf course fencing that's taller than me, they just from a standstill jump right over the top. It's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's the most impressive thing ever.
it is. It is. I wish I couldn't do that when I was a teenager.
So for us to fence, you know, I've got 3 or 4 foot fencing up around our garden, but that's to keep the rabbits out basically and our chickens.
Yeah.
Keep those predators
Small.
out. Yeah, the rabbits are the worst things here, and I'm seeing tracks in the snow already. So we've got another batch of bunnies that need to help us in February, maybe. So, let's see if there's other questions here. I've been kind of talking and watching you guys, and yeah, and Jace has got to deal with kangaroos, wombats, emus, things that I never.
Wow.
I don't. I'll tell you, I'm a ham radio geek. That's one of my main hobbies. One of my most fun contacts. I was talking to a guy in Australia, and we had deer running down our street in a suburb of Minneapolis. And this guy in Australia couldn't picture in his mind, deer running down the street. But there was fires out in the bush, and the kangaroos were coming into their yard and eating the shrubs. And I couldn't, in my mind, think of going out and seeing my shrubs and a kangaroo in my front yard. But I can picture a deer. It's just normal here. It was two people with the same problem on different sides of the globe. And so Jason's got his kangaroos. I think that'd be cool to see some kangaroos, but maybe not in my garden. So,
Rich, you said the elk. We've not had elk walk through our property, but I will tell you, all the ranchers here, they take all their round bales, pile them in one spot, and there are extremely high fences around them to keep the elk out because they will eat them up.
well, weren't the deer getting into your straw or your hay for your animals last winter?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, they're worse in the winter. Like this year, we've got it on the trailer, but we've got it covered with a 18-wheeler tarp that somebody had that was not using anymore. And but they get worse in the winter when the snow comes
Huh. Yeah.
because they're hungry.
Someone was saying about dealing with raccoons. Yeah, we've only had a couple of those. We're out in the middle of the cornfield. We're about two or 3 miles from the river, and so a lot of the animals kind of stay in their little paths along the river. The deer, the raccoons, all that. Let's see. Leanne's here from Mennonite Farmhouse. Welcome. I don't know who's got the dog.
But
It's not
Buster.
Diesel for once. I just want to say
That's
it.
my dog.
Okay.
So first we heard the coyotes. There's like a chorus of coyotes, and then Buster starts in.
Oh,
He's
okay.
right outside the window.
He's doing
We
his
did.
job.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. We'll let him do his job.
Now both
We
of
got
them are
some
going.
They're
coyotes.
both howling now.
We had some coyotes come by, and the road is probably 50 feet from our bedroom, and they started howling in the middle of the night, and I thought they were in our bedroom. I mean, they were.
Mhm.
Wow. That
Mhm.
lit me up. I was
Yeah.
quick, like, okay.
Fortunately, we're just like a pass through. They don't spend any time, and it's usually at night.
Yep.
Yeah, knock on wood. We've not seen a coyote on our property in the 3 years. We've seen them kind of close,
On the fence line, but not on our
but
side.
the
of
dogs, I guess, keep them away. We don't lock. Knock on wood, we don't lock anything up at night. And I might regret saying that or doing that. But
I'm not
so
saying
far-
a word.
We just
So
shut the
far,
door.
everything's been good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
We've been
Yeah.
we've been lucky. Just knock on wood. Stuff.
Yep.
And we're the overprotective parents, so who knows? I'm seeing if there's any questions down here. I wanted people to come on and kind of share their stories ahead of time. Is there anything else you're going to be preparing to get ready for February? We're down to a month and a half now before we're going with it. Is there anything else you're doing? Anything else you're butchering or?
We will have rabbits being butchered in the pretty near future, and we keep lights on our chickens over the winter so that they lay, but they still will take about a 2-month break, and sometimes it starts in February where they molt at that time. I don't know why they molt in the very early spring, but they do. And so one of my favorite things to do is to pickle eggs to
Yeah.
prepare for a
Oh my
time
God.
like that.
I've
We
got
can
a
get
jar.
eggs relatively cheap around here, but with the amount that we can go through, I think
Yeah.
we'd miss it if I
Yeah.
didn't prepare for my girls taking their break. But usually when the chickens are on their break, the quail are still pumping some eggs out, and it's 3 quail eggs per 1 large chicken egg, 3 or 4 quail eggs. So we can make that conversion and still do pretty well.
We our girls, it's been usually fall molt into, we've got like 2 going right now.
Yeah.
And they wait for December when the snow and cold comes, and then they just look
look
so
so
brutal.
old.
Oh, they're sad looking.
Yeah.
Just mangy looking.
And cold and unhappy and just
So I bring a handful of our
The-
grub terra, and I kind of go over to the one and it's like, keep elbowing the other girls out of the way, and here,
Yep.
girl, eat this protein quickly before the others
Yeah.
come.
And it's pitiful because I mean it's already painful and uncomfortable for them. And
Yeah.
it's like then to be freezing. Mine, the first 2 years I had them, they didn't do anything. And then all of a sudden they started molting in February when we were 30 below zero.
Yep.
And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I heard they do a light molt and then a hard molt. So the light molt, I think they do after their first year. And then after a year and a half, the hard one comes in, and
Here you go.
that's when they lose almost all their feather.
Thanks, Gwen.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's just brutal. It's brutal.
I will
One of the things we've been doing is every time we cook something that we have leftovers, like today, Ryan made antelope and buffalo chili because we had gotten the buffalo ground buffalo meat from Black Hills Bulk, and the antelope was the one that he was able to get when he got his tags. We've made a chili out of that, and not only do we have 2 meals out of it, he also has several lunches, and there's also enough to freeze for us.
Mhm.
So, I know it's not the same thing, but I mean, at least the antelope was something that he caught versus the little bit of the buffalo. The other thing is trying to freeze dry more and taking the stuff that I have and making like meals in a jar out of it where I just have to add the meat. And I know that's one of the other things we plan to do is putting in hunting tags for the 2 of us as a team, because sometimes there's a better odd of being pulled for that because they do it by region here and they do it by lottery. So if you do a team, you at least have twice the chance of getting something. I have to be honest. I'd rather get the deer meat the way you do because I don't want to sit outside.
Well,
I'll go. I'll take one for the team.
I can talk to Holly's dad and see if he'll bring you some. So
Well, Ryan said to me, he's like, "Are you going to be able to do it?" I'm like, "I think so, no problem." I said, "I'm more worried about sitting out in the cold all that time and getting up
It's not
early."
fun.
No,
Yeah.
And it's not
it's
even
funny.
that
That's the
cold
part I
here.
dread.
There's
Wait,
only
I
been
do-
a couple times where I've been doing dishes at the sink and looked out and seen them, and he's like, "Well, do you feel like processing the deer tonight?" And I go, "Oh, okay," and then he'll go out and shoot it. That's only happened a couple times. I think it was in the same
Once,
year.
maybe twice, yeah.
So usually he has to sit in the cold, but not always, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They are on my property. There's 5 to 7 of them all winter long.
wow.
But we are not in a good place to do that. Let's just say that. It's too
Okay.
dangerous.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I didn't grow up in a hunting family. I didn't have hunting friends till college. I just have never, I can get some wascally wabbits, but
Yeah.
I'm,
And I grew up with a family that did the deer hunting and duck hunting. And you took your firearm safety at 13 so you could start your deer hunting with the family because that meant another tag that could be filled.
yep,
That's awesome.
amen.
so hopefully we'll have some sausage here in a couple of weeks. So
I just got to get up and get it.
So literally, if there's a predator on the property, Holly needs to sit outside, Rich.
she can sit outside. Yeah. I mean, if there's a predator on, I mean, to be honest, most of our predators are hawks or eagles.
Yeah.
A bald eagle, no. We've
yeah.
had some hawks, and I've done some, warning shots off to the side just to make
Yeah.
the noise and scare it away. I unless I see one on the ground consistently pecking off our girls,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take a
The
hawk
only
out.
one we've had was the fox this summer.
Yeah.
Oh, if the fox came back, he's gone. I
Yeah.
have no problem with that guy, but
Isn't that illegal here
Raptors, yeah.
to shoot raptors? It's illegal
Yeah.
to shoot raptors here.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't.
no, if there was one that was consistently picking it
I think
off,
you
Yeah.
can if they're actively in the act.
Yeah,
of,
defending your
Yeah.
herd, block,
Yeah.
whatever. I
but you
think.
can't just pick them off.
No.
right? No,
No.
No.
Maybe I
Same
didn't-
here.
I don't want
Defend
hate mail
your
on my
animals.
thing. I
That
don't
must be
want
a federal
shooting
thing.
hawks,
Yeah,
please.
no. I don't know. Maybe they're nuisance animals somewhere, just like us with the deer, and
I don't know. We'll get I just saw Matt at Gunsmoke Farmstead. He's going to be starting a guided predator hunting service next winter. So if anybody's got some issues, Gunsmoke Farmstead, Matt will come out and clean things up for you. I need that. Protect my old ladies. Well, I am kind of a helicopter. Holly was out yesterday, and I went and was going to lock up the girls, swap the water, did all this, and was throwing some grubs and some corn to the girls. And one girl was just sitting there, and I even threw some grubs right at her feet. she just stood there. I'm like, something's not right. And kind of watched, and everybody was running around her. It was just a flurry of activity. So I brought a big piece of cardboard inside, brought the cage inside, got the water, the food, went out, picked her up, brought her in. She had a nice night in the house. And I checked this morning. I said, well, where'd she go? I was like, she's fine. So
She was tail up. She was all perky, all happy, making lots of noise in here.
so she worked me for a free night in the warmth.
She did. She worked you.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm
She
a
was, I gave
sucker.
her some grubs and she was all over those. And yeah, she was fine.
I'm a
And
sucker.
Holly's
for-
over by the cage going, I know what you're doing.
No, no, I got a soft heart for him too, but I'm like, yeah, you just want to go back outside. I can
Yeah.
tell you're making noises. And if I wasn't around her, then she was really making noises. So I was sitting out here for a little bit and she was fine and watching me. Purr, 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 purr.
Yep. Okay. Well, she worked me good, but I don't know. She just looked listless. I thought, oh, I don't want to lose one. So, you start running through your
Mhm.
mental checklist of all the things to do and not to do. And I just,
Yeah.
we've had birds so long, but it's amazing. You're still learning all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, okay, what do I not know? What's happening now that I don't know about?
Mhm.
That's my thing. So,
You're a good person.
I love my girls. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're, like we've talked, Lisa, a lot. Every animal on the farm has a purpose, and they're not my pets. Although
Yeah.
you still get to know them, but I'm still a good chicken dad, I guess.
Mhm.
You got to watch out for all the little animals around here. So I don't know. Just any other things that you can think of that I'm not thinking of for February? Any little?
Well, one of the
Things
things
you're
that I was thinking of that some people might not think about is the fats. So we did a poll on our channel or on our community tab about what fats do people use to cook with, and a lot of people said lard. And I don't know if people have considered how expensive, I'm sure they have, how expensive that is every month. But one of these from the tallow company, what is it called? That Works?
Yeah.
Full of like sheep tallow is $14. So that would eat a ton into someone's budget. So if people haven't thought about making, what is it called when you render down the chicken skin? Because I feel like that's the most readily schmaltz. How to render schmaltz could be a really great homestead lesson in February. Basically grind up or cut up chicken skin really finely and put it in the crock pot and render out the chicken fat, strain it, and you're able to use that as a cooking fat. So buying
point.
skin on chicken breasts could be an easy way to also get some fat, which is a really important part of the diet.
I never thought of that. So if anybody knows how to do that, that'd be a great video.
Yeah, I don't have any chicken skin is the problem, and I didn't prefer the taste of schmaltz versus something like tallow. And we have recently done a video on tallow. And I know that some butchers, if you don't have access to, a deer or a goat or whatever, some butchers will, have a scraps bin or whatever that they'll sell you the fat from. And they may even give it out for free. I don't know what they normally do with those trimmings. So it's worth asking and bartering with your butcher to see if you can get some fats to render down yourself.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Where to Begin Homestead, they make their own lard. I don't know, maybe you can say if you've got a
Mhm.
video on there. Hickory Croft Farm, they have geese and they produce amazing lard. Teresa at Old Ways Gardening can up some ghee.
Yeah.
There's just that's something I know nothing about. I mean, there's so much to learn when you start homesteading, and my interests are in a certain area, and lard or any of that, I know nothing about it. So that's a great point. If anybody does one, make sure you put the hashtag. If
Where to
anybody's
begin, so that they do have a video on it.
you
So-
do. Okay, Where to Begin Homestead. Check out, they've got a video on that. And let's see, Barb's John Cann's Chicken Schmaltz. Hopefully I'm saying that
Schmaltz.
right.
Schmaltz, yeah.
Schmaltz.
Okay. Thought he was a pitcher for the Atlanta Braves at one time, but
Mayfield is saying they save the bacon grease, and that's
Bacon.
what we do. We save our bacon grease from our pigs.
When we cooked a lot of bacon, we did too.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
one of the other things, Rich, you said there's a lot to learn, and I think a lot of it has to do with what your family's priorities are.
Uh-huh.
Like I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, we're not trying to be all natural. We're not.
Mhm.
That's just us. And we've moved a lot towards that direction over time. But I think if I had children now, if I had done this when my son was small, then that would have been a much different story, because for him, I did a lot of things differently, even when I was living in the city. But I think that it depends on what your values are, where you're at, and what you learn. And so for me, like, one of the things that I'm learning to spend less on is, because I hate having to spend on laundry detergent. I hate having to spend $5 on a bottle of cleaner. So to me, I'd rather spend that on food, if we're not able to raise it ourselves. And so, like, those are some things that I'm exploring ways to bring in. How do I make it so that I'm not having to spend all that money on it and it's garbage? It's not even doing what it's supposed to be doing. So for me, like, vinegar and citrus is doing a better job.
Right.
And I've heard a lot of homesteaders talk about making their own laundry soap. And then a year later, a lot of major homesteaders said that it was garbage. And that was the one that was made with Zote. They didn't like
Okay.
it. They said it wasn't working for their clothes. Now, I've never tried it for that reason, right?
Uh-huh.
Someone else suggested to me to try Fells Naphtha
Mm-hmm.
along with some of the similar ingredients. And so I'm going to give that a try. Again, it's all personal preference, what you prefer. But it's just, I remember when I just started on YouTube, I watched, I think it was Living Traditions, had said, oh, we love this soap. And then a year later, they were like, yeah, I don't like this soap. It's terrible. I stopped using it. And I'm like,
Certain
for a year,
channels,
everybody was
yeah.
doing it.
a lot of certain channels, they post videos of when they're trying something out, and I think it's important to signify that up front, like, hey,
Yeah.
I don't know what this end result is going to be. I'm going to test this out. Why don't you come with me? Because there's been a few things that I have done based on someone else's advice that turns out not to work.
Right.
And that's super frustrating.
Or not to your preference,
Right.
Mhm. But I think that, so that's the thing with the skin grease, like, that's stuff you'll come across and you'll figure out, because you'll be interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and yes, Heather, you're perfect on, hey gang, we're trying this out. I'll give you a review in 3 months, versus saying, hey, here's what we do.
Mhm.
And you start following them, because there is so much information out here in the homesteading community. And there's a lot of different opinions too.
Yep.
I've put out
Sure,
some
and there's
stuff.
old videos that are outdated that come up in the algorithm, and I've wasted money doing things from people that I trusted, which now I know, but take everything with a grain of salt and do some research and see what works best.
Yep.
Try it out and see what it is. We're coming up on our hour here. Thank you both. Lisa,
Thank you.
we actually got a guest up before you even arrived. So Lisa's been my main IT director with StreamYard and all that. And you've been such a help. And Heather and Levi, thank you for coming on your first live.
Yeah, now we know it works. We've actually told some people, no, I don't think the internet's going to work. So I'm going to have to email them and be like, guess what? It works.
It all worked. Everything worked. But I hope everybody's fired up for the hashtag $50 February 2023. It's going to be a fun challenge, a chance to, push yourself. As Annette said, push yourself a little bit and find out where you fall down. It's not an absolute win-lose. It's a try it and learn from it. Oh, and I did want to, yes, Barb I was going to point this out. Barb got the cold, so she couldn't be on. But Barb made her fermented pickles. Oh, it almost blew up. Oh,
Yeah, they have to-
Is that what it says? I could.
Congratulations.
Oh,
The lid on
Barb,
too tight.
on
Yeah.
getting on growing your cucumbers and getting those pickled. That was such a fun thing to watch. Was your challenge to get the pickles made, and that's the fun of it. Find some things to grow, to learn, grow as a person and to learn, and then figure out what we want to do different next year. So, and
It's goals.
Sparkle Flare, welcome.
Hi, I know who that is.
I was gonna say they're just saying hi to Heather and Levi, so it's nice to have some new people on board. If you don't know anything about the $50 February, I do have a video with all the people that are involved listed in the comments. So check out those channels, because when we get to filming videos in February, it'll be fun to watch all the other videos and compare notes and stuff. So, but thanks everybody for Heather, Levi, Lisa. Thanks for jumping on board tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for having
having us. This was fun.
And everybody else, just watch our note for 2 weeks from now. Like I said, I don't know if my grandson's birthday party is going to be 2 weeks from tonight. If it is, we're not going to have a live. We love y'all, but I don't get to see my grandson enough. So we're going to do that. So
Yeah.
keep an eye out for that. We'll let you know, and we'll make it work around the holidays too. So if not, we'll let everybody go. Take care, everybody.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye.